Wish me luck on this. So click the links to join the channel here over at Subscribe. Starting a mailbox. Thanks for everyone who's been sending comics and cool little knickknacks and stuff. I mean, I'd show you some of the things, but I don't think I can show you some things, at least not on YouTube. So Snow White, and if I'm not careful, I will get suspended with this video. Snow White and the 7 diverse, differently abled, inclusive, marginalized, and oppressed, and diversity is our strength, or like whatever. So Snow White is some German story from 1812, and usual classical mythology is just freaking terrifying. When you read some of those stories, and you go, you told this stuff to kids? It's like, yeah, it's rooted in terror, and some of the Japanese stuff is just bizarrely awesome and next level, but it's to teach kids via parables, to warn them away from the dangers of strangers and not to get lost in the woods and get eaten by the wolves and all this kind of stuff, and how to fit in with the tribe. So it fits its purpose, even if it does give the kids, night terrors and long-term psychological damage, which I'm absolutely sure that it does. So I will say, like, for children's stories now, they're better in some regard. For kids' stories, to dial that stuff back, but they swung the pendulum too far in the other direction, where it's just, was it like Kristen Bell has she's the one who published the photo. She's at some dinner party, and people got triggered by the photo, and they're publishing kids' books now. They're just like, look, all these different purple colored people, and we're all hand in hand. It's like the South Park meme come to life. Anyway, so with this movie or Hollywood in general, making these kind of like old tales and like retelling them, you got two options here. You can be a woke pussy and push some cultural bullshit cancer like they've been doing and losing money, keep in mind. Or you can find your balls and tell the original story and just trust that people can act like adults. It's like, yeah, that's you're asking the impossible. No, I just want the audience, I just want the people on social media act like adults, and they look at you like, you're not familiar with Twitter if you think that's the point. Thing is, what's the point in having original stories if you're just going to change them to the point of abstract absurdity and they bear no relation to the source material? It's kind of the plastic Disneyfication of these classic stories. And yes, Disney has always done this to some extent, but at least at one time the story was recognizable. I was arguing with these woke feminists on Twitter about this, reminding them that it's a German tale, and get ready for it. It's called Snow White. Skin is white as hunter's marching powder, and ruby red lips, and maybe blue eyes. Whatever the budget for this is, I can promise you it's going to be too much. It would have to be like a $50 million movie plus $50 million in ads, but I don't think they make movies. Like, ads are pretty firm at like $100 million for some kind of saturation. That would be the only possible way to make a profit over this. And now it's turned into a joke where they're starting to meme it. So I think they're absolutely screwed. I think the future of Disney is going to get very, very. We've given up on the big screens and we're going straight to streaming. And then you realize, like, well, yeah, but everyone is on the streaming Disney Plus service, which they pay for, but they go like, they're just watching the old stuff and none of the new stuff is being watched. It's like, well, what's the point of even making it? So I mentioned earlier about the pendulum, the earlier video earlier today, and where the culture is and where the marketing and the decision-making people in Hollywood are. And I think the YouTube community is as close to the front of the curve as you can get in sensing market patterns and what people want. What people will pay for. That's the only metric. It's not what they say they want on social media. I would buy the hell out of this. It's what they actually will go to a theater and pay $15 for, or subscribe to a streaming service. That's the only metric. And it's not the people who buy or consume a product secondarily. It's the primary purchaser of any product is the driving force. They say this with, like, women take part in this activity, and you go, but are they spending the money for it? Like, well, no, they're reading it secondhand or they're watching it secondhand. Somebody else paid for it. It's like, well, then ignore it. It's great, but it is secondary. So Gary at Nerd Radic is probably the best resource for Hollywood that will never be utilized because they don't want to know where the market is. They really don't give two rat feathers about it. They want to create the market. They're hoping that saturation with all this woke cancer is going to convince people to get on board. If it's like, this is the only thing you see, eventually people think, oh, okay, this woke cancer is finally palatable to me. That's not going to work because now there's just too many alternatives. At first, they're going to find the streaming networks that show the old stuff or are less woke. eventually they might come to the realization it's just not worth paying a monthly fee, $15 for Amazon, $15 for Disney, and all this other stuff. And you add it up, you're like, yeah, that's like $45 a month. It's just you're throwing money away at that point. You go, that's like $600 a year or whatever. You could save that and you could do something else with it. And the funny thing is this is kind of bleeding over into the Disney parks, where for some reason it's underperforming. And usually right-wing protests just fizzle out after a while. But things are a little bit different now, where the protests are having a little bit more legs, and it's kind of surprising to see that the parks are taking a hit. The thing is, Disney does need money, so at some point they're going to have to sit down with the majority of shareholders, and like someone might have to institute legal actions to like have a breach of fiduciary duty and take the company back or something. So you realize, like, if you're watching the stream and stuff, you're only watching the old stuff, and you wonder, well, why does Hollywood suck so hard now? Why don't they make stuff like they did in the 80s and 90s and even earlier, even up until about 2010? It's like it seemed like there was a great Hollywood die-off that started in 2020. Maybe it'll go down as the beginning of the end for Hollywood. The Trump effect in 2016, 2020, and then the Elon Musk effect when he bought Twitter, because it allowed right-of-center voices to finally be heard on social media, and so people could start talking about this kind of stuff, where you can get things trending on Twitter now that there's no way to do it before Musk. Because the thing is, people got options now, and like if you want to start making videos and you're right of center, and this is the best time to do it. It was great to have $200 to $300 million movies, but it seems like those days are truly over. Rare exceptions, the Tom Cruise movies. It's like he's the one guy who made 2 movies in 2 years that came out that really lifted the market. It's like, that's one guy. That's kind of freaking weird that Tom Cruise is a guy who's trying to please the audience. He's trying to give them what they'll pay for. Surely there's got to be more people in Hollywood, and you look around, you're like, yeah, no, it just seems to be Tom Cruise on his lonesome. That's weird. That's really weird. Anyway, the thing is, you got YouTube, you got Odyssey, Rumble, BitChute, Gab's coming. They had Gab TV, and now they're turned into Gab Socials, or it's some kind of video hosting thing. If they get live streaming, that will be a big deal. And maybe Twitter X will be the next big thing. They're monetizing tweets now. And it's very serious amounts of money if you have a big platform. It's going to result in a lot more clickbait, but I think they're going to work it out. Like, people are showing, like, influencers showing checks they got on Twitter for like tens of thousands of dollars, which is, nothing to sneeze at before you're making this stuff for free. The thing is, kids are easily brainwashed into this cult of woke. But the difference is nowadays, in our generations, is that it's only for a while, because nowadays they hit about 16, they start seeing that the media government narrative about certain things is a flat out lie. For my generation, it was after high school, because if you were driving, you'd listen to right-wing radio or, Rush Limbaugh or Pat Buchanan. It started to wash off the media programming a little bit, and then you go on from there. There might have been message boards and stuff like that, but now, nowadays there's, like, if you're a kid and you're starting to notice that you're being fed a line of BS from the schools and media, you're going to get online. You're going to find your way to base content, the frog community, I guess. And things now are even better, because the right has got so many alternative platforms to make podcasts and videos for $200. That's the cost of this cell phone and this Kindle and a couple micro SD cards. It's like, it's really not much to get started and explain to kids how their teachers and their media and the government are lying to them. It's like, how dare you say that? The left wing used to say that for as long as the left wing has been the left wing. The media, teachers, government, like, yeah, they're lying to you. That was the left wing position. But now they're in power, I guess. So they go, oh, those are far right-wing dog whistles. Oh, really? Because until, like, before Trump, or I guess before Obama, because once Obama got in office, suddenly they had to kind of dial back the criticism of the corrupt government, because you had Obama in office, and you're like, so he's the head of the snake, the head of the corruption? No, we don't mean that. So things did kind of get weird. I guess that was 2008, 2016. That was probably, like, people focused on Trump, but I think actually the focus should be on Obama, because that changed the left. And then 2012 was the Occupy movement, where the that got subverted and corrupted. And that's a fascinating history, but it's not something you're going to see on YouTube. Don't say anything in the comments. You just get me yeeted. The thing is, you can make podcasts now teaching these kids, I got to lift weights, eat less, and become these based Chad friends. And who are, politically incorrect. I think the ADL FBI says, those are far right extremist dog whistles. The frogs, the bass chads and the friends and the frog movements, well, I don't know what the frog is called. Those are, yeah, extreme. Like, you undercut your own argument when you say that kind of asinine stuff, when you point out a little cartoon frog. No, you don't understand. The cartoon frog is really... No, I think at some point people start to look at the ADL, the FBI, and whoever's putting out this insane interview. Go, you're mentally ill. You're just insane people. Anyway, Gab, Telegram, BitChute has been absolutely fan-freaking-tastic for this. In my day, the red pill took years, and you had to actually read books. Now it takes months, and the books are on tape, so you can listen while you commute, or you can you sit at home, and you can play guitar or play video games. And you can listen to these podcasts and you start going down the route. It's the far extreme right-wing rabbit hole of radicalization. Wait, you guys, the left does really not respect diversity of thought? Yeah, I mean, that's the modern left wing. They are absolutely pro-censorship. The story of the subversion of the left has been absolutely fascinating. Oh, and before I forget, the actress, I want to say Renee Zellweger, but I know that's from the 90s, I think. This actress seems to be playing up her like Spanish card, her ethnic, her POC card. The only problem is she's actually pretty fair-skinned. She's not European fair, but it's pretty close. I think Snow White had blue eyes and was, of course, German, and obviously she was Snow White. But this chick's as fair as you can get and still be able to raise that POC card. It's like, it's people are looking at her. I'm sure, like, I mean, the hierarchy among the POC community is fascinating because they're the most hateful, racist, bitter, evil people ever. And the bickering back and forth between each other because they all have this Bolshevik hierarchy of oppression, and it's like, you're putting it on yourself in most cases. It's not all crap, but it's like most of the time it is. And you hear how they talk to each other. It's like they hate each other. They hate us. They hate everyone, but they hate themselves and they hate each other. Anyway, the thing is, that's why Disney cast her. It's part of the humiliation ritual, but it's not insane. Somebody at Disney is probably thinking that people are going to love her, and this is going to find an audience, and the toys and the I don't know what they sell, all the merchandise associated with this crap is going to be like a big seller or something. You look at them like, I don't think you have the finger on the pulse. The thing is, if maybe if the differently abled people of lacking height were actually German, or they at least could pass for German, they might actually have made this movie and made some money out of it. It might have worked. I mean, I don't think she would have been the one to ruin it, or Gal Gadot as the Wicked Witch, but the magical helpers, because they're not actually using little people for some reason. So I mean, that's great that the short actors won't get a job and will they won't get that $200,000 for a really easy film shoot in front of a green screen where they get to dress in costumes and there's catering, and I mean, like, hey, memorize your lines, deliver lines, and it's like $250,000 for a few months' work. Yeah, that's great that they're not going to get that anymore, because Peter Dinklage threw a fit over hiring short actors. He did some podcast interview, and because of him, they're going to give that money, the $200,000 to $300,000, to taller actors who probably are more likely to be hired for commercial work and Hollywood work in the first place. Seems like a dick move to me. And if you probably interviewed some of the members of the short community, I don't know the PC term for them, I'm sure that they would express their displeasure. It's like, oh, hey, I'm an actor in Hollywood. I had a chance of getting picked. Oh, $250,000 payday for 6 months work in front of a green screen. Oh, thanks, Peter. Thanks for taking that easy couple $100,000. I'm sure they prefer not making the money, because Hollywood is just breaking down the doors to hire people who are like under 4 foot, I guess. It's actually not the case. There's not a whole lot of roles for those folks, and that opportunity to make a few $100,000 easy dollars, just the easiest money imaginable, is being an actor. But Peter Dinklage already made his money, I think, in Game of Thrones. He's been in everything, so he's the only short guy in Hollywood who can make money. And they would have hired the 7 primary actors, and then stunt doubles for him. So it's like there would have been a couple dozen members of the short community who would have been paid off pretty well. It would have been a lot of work for that community. Thanks, Peter. It seems like a really weird flex while you're wealthy, to speak for the other actors who are probably living in a little apartment, who would have been like, yeah, that $200,000 would have been sweet, man. That sure would have been sweet. I work at Walmart. I could have taken 6 months off to shoot this thing. Yeah, Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Peter. Maybe it would have turned into some commercial work. You never know, but it would have been a solid, easy paycheck that he just decided to take away from them. I'd be like, if I ever see this MFer in person. Anyway, thanks for. I could tell you a funny. There's a funny story about the mailbox. I got a wrong package, and it was an adult package that some woman had ordered. I took photos of it, but I can't show them on YouTube because it was stuff for women that she ordered, and the guy accidentally gave me the wrong box of these, and I opened it and I go, oh, first I saw somebody sent it as a gag. When I start looking at it, it's like 3 devices, and you go like, these are like $100 each. Nobody's going to send $200-$300 worth of gag gifts. So somebody's going to send me a tablet. I think it's arriving tomorrow. So I went down, and I realized, oh, it's the wrong. The guy gave it to he handed out the wrong box. I'm like, just seal this up, and she'll never know the difference for these lady devices that only go in lady parts. And no, you're thinking, oh, but they can go in male parts too. Not the way they're shaped, because they were shaped, they were a unique device. One goes in the front and one goes in the back. It's things you've only seen in movies. You realize like, people really order this stuff. In fact, they ordered many of these things in this box. Weird. Please don't send me that as a gag gift, because I don't have the requisite parts for that. Anyway, that was kind of the highlight of my day. Just kidding that. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all next episode.